Hello, everyone. How we all feeling? Day two, long party last night, big morning today. Doing all right? Phenomenal. All right, well, it's great to see everyone here today. Thank you so much for coming. My name is Arun Seigel, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of Thunkable. And today, I have the great pleasure of being able to talk to us, maybe, one second. Can we make sure the presentations are hooked up? I clicked the button here, but didn't change anything. All right, we're gonna do it again. Like I said, my name is Arun Seigel. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Thunkable, the no-code platform to build native mobile apps. And today I'm so excited to speak with you all about how to embed AI into your project. And today the goal is to talk about real-world examples of people using AI in their native mobile apps to build powerful experiences for themselves and for their users. And if you stay through to the end, I'll show off a few things that we recently launched and tease a couple things that are soon to come. So before we get ahead of ourselves, who am I? Why I get to speak here today? My name is Arun Seigel, co-founder and CEO of Thunkable, and we are the no-code platform to build native mobile apps. A platform loved by our users who are not just users to us, but they're inventors. They're what we call creators. Thunkable has been around since 2016, and we've been very fortunate to be able to work with 3.5 million creators on a number of apps across the globe. I also happen to have an undergrad and graduate degree in AI, which is very convenient now. And today I get to speak about the power of no code and AI and bringing them together, which is something I'm so excited about. So, to walk you through a little bit about Thunkable, in case you haven't used it before or seen it before, Thunkable is a platform that has full development capabilities with no code required. We have drag and drop blocks for action and logic. Have any of you done block-based programming before? Yeah, okay, I'm seeing some hands. Very cool. So a lot of block-based programming comes from research at MIT in Boston in the US, and I worked on a lot of the block-based programming. So initially we built a project called MIT Scratch. Then we built a product called MIT App Inventor, and out of it we made an open source project called Blockly, and many people have now used Blockly in their programming tools. And so that whole history is something I've been working on. I've been working on this for, at this point, about 15 years, and Thunkable's been on the forefront of no-code app development for nearly a decade now. So in addition to the drag and drop blocks, we have extensible integrations. We partner with a number of folks here, as well as a number of incredible tools across the globe to give you the best experiences and the best power that everyone has. So it's not just coming from what we've built with Thunkable, but it gives you the power of a partnership with Google and their tools, spreadsheets and Firebase, et cetera, with Microsoft and image recognition and their power, and with a number of just incredible companies. And we're so happy to have a number of those partners here with us today. We're a fully native platform, which means that it's not a wrapped up web view or whatever. It works offline. It plugs into your hardware, into your sensors, works with your push notifications, and that's something that we think is really important because you can build with Thunkable and then you can seamlessly publish to Android, to iOS, and to web. You can publish directly to the Google Play Store, to the Apple App Store, and to the web, all from one platform. And that's something that our users, our creators find so empowering and so incredible because they can push to Google Play and have a totally native app experience on Android devices, tablets, phones. They can push to the Apple App Store, even if they don't have Xcode, even if they don't have a MacBook, even if they don't have an iPhone, they can still push directly to Apple's App Store and get that whole ecosystem using their apps on iPads, on iPhones. And then, just for fun, they can also publish to the web. And so now you have a totally cross-platform app development tool that you can build once and deploy everywhere. Since our inception in 2016, as I said, we've had 3.5 million people building on Thunkable, and they've created over 10 million apps in 184 countries. This alone should show you how impactful no-code mobile app development is, much less no-code app development that we've been hearing all about today and yesterday. 3.5 million users have built 10 million apps. That's over 1% of all apps on the Play Store and 1% of all apps on the Apple App Store have been built using Thunkable. And this is a fun slide, picture of me and my co-founder, 2015, 2019, 2023. Don't tell me I look much older than that, because that was just a couple weeks ago. We've been doing this, like I said, since 2015, Thunkable has existed, and we started building with AI from very early on. Now, everyone's been talking about AI. It's so incredible. It's so exciting, so new. The Gen AI stuff that we've seen recently, very exciting, very new, come about in the last year. But AI, of course, in any format, has existed for years, and within Thunkable, we felt it's really important to have AI within the app building experience. And the reason is, of course, because AI can supercharge your no-code app development. You have coding, then barriers are reduced. Things are made easier, better, faster through no-code. And with AI, it makes it even easier, even faster. And AI plus no-code allows us all to be developers. How many people here have built an app, any kind of app? Oh, right. It's nearly everybody. See a few faces that haven't, so I'm hoping that means you're exploring, and by the end of today, you will have built something. How many people here have built a mobile app? Wow. All right. Still most of you. That's awesome. How many of you have been no-coding or coding for more than a year, since at least last year's conference? Still most of us. This is awesome. This is a really advanced room then that I get to speak to today, which is just so exciting. Even if you haven't, raise your hand for any of those questions. As I said, thanks to no-code and AI, we all get to be developers now. So if you heard my keynote yesterday on the stage, just out here, you heard me talk a lot about how amazing no-code is, which we all are bought in on. That's why we're here. How amazing AI is, which, if you're in this room, probably you're also bought in on. And one of the very important points I was making, which I'll reiterate, is that it's not no-code or AI. So many people have asked me, Arun, you've been working in no-code for 15 years. And now this AI thing is coming. Is it going to take your lunch? Is it going to make the product irrelevant? And the answer is no, it's going to make it better. It's going to make it faster. AI does so many incredible things. No-code does so much incredible work for us. And by marrying them together, we get to a more exciting place where we can build faster. We lower barriers to entry. And we can build more robust, more exciting, more incredible products and features for ourselves and for our users. So with this powerful combination of AI and no-code, there are 3 things I talked about yesterday that I believe are going to change with AI and how AI and no-code are going to work together. First off, you have AI to help you build your apps. So that's AI that will actually help you generate code and help you build your apps. Second is AI within the app experience. So within your app, using AI to help your users have an amazing app experience. And the last category is no code to help you build AIs, which is something that a lot of people haven't been thinking about. But it's complicated to build AIs, and now if you have no code that can actually help you combine, this image recognition tool with ChatGPT, all of a sudden you have something very interesting going on. So those are really the three categories of how I view AI and no code working together. Today I'm going to mostly focus on AI within the app experience, but I'll also touch on the other two. So why should you add AI into your app? It's a few reasons. It can help you turn your hardware into advanced tools. Again, yesterday, if you saw, I spoke about a gentleman, and I'll just tell the story real quick. He's a service engineer who works on heavy equipment and machinery, and he's based in England, and used to have to travel all over, mostly Europe, to help repair machines. Now he figured out how to take a RealWear Navigator 500 headset, one of these Bluetooth headsets, connect it to his app, speak into it as he was working on an instrument, have it then take what he was saying, talk to, speech to text it. So now he has text. He takes that text, he sends it to ChatGPT. He gets a response. That response then texts to speeches and then speaks in his ear. And he has a virtual assistant now that's helping him. And he said what used to take a week is now done in 3 hours. Why? Because he was able to take his hardware and turn it into an advanced virtual assistant that helped him solve an incredible number of problems. And took 1 week of work and shipping equipment back and forth and turned it into 3 hours. The next reason to use AI within your apps, personalizing the user experience. You have users who are unique, and they deserve custom experiences. As I said yesterday, I have a blazer, worked hard to make sure it fits me very nice. I hope you like it. Not everybody in the audience can wear the same blazer. Why? We're all different. We buy clothes that are unique to ourselves. We buy so many different things that are unique to ourselves, yet our software has to be one size fits all. With AI, we get those personalized, customized user experiences. And of course, the point of any of these things allow us to gain users, allow us to retain users, allow us to generate revenue from these users, etc., and make a difference at the end of the day in their lives. Why do you make a business? You make a business because hopefully it's making an impact on the users of your business. I know that's why I do this, and I think that's why everyone here gets to do it. And the cool part about no code is the user is now the designer, is now the developer, is now the person who has the problem. They also can create the solution. And with AI, you're supercharged to be even more powerful. So now let's get right into some specific examples of how AI is being used in no-code app development. First off, something that's been done for a while and people forget, this is actually really cool AI. Image recognition. I asked yesterday, let's see if there's a different answer. How many people here have seen Silicon Valley TV show? Great. That's basically my life. I live right in the heart of Silicon Valley. How many of you know this app, Hot Dog Not Hot Dog, that was made? Yeah, okay, great. So the producer of Silicon Valley came to the Thunkable office in 2017. And he sat down with us. He said, guys, I've got this app, Hot Dog Not Hot Dog. This is a true story. This really happened right in the early days. And he was still figuring out, what was going on in Silicon Valley early, I think that was season 2 or something. And he came and sat down with us and said, it's a pretty cool app, and we spent a bunch of money, and we built it. And we said, okay. And then we spent about 3 minutes with him, and we built something a little more robust, full image recognition capabilities. And his mind was blown, and it was one of the coolest things I had seen, because somebody was like, wow, this is so complicated. All of a sudden, with the no-code tool, could build an app like that in the matter of about 3 minutes. So I'll actually walk you through a demo of an image recognition app in a moment, but I'll just talk about why image recognition for a moment. So you have a few different reasons and a few different use cases for image recognition. There's object and image search, right? Take a picture, search for it. Show me what's going on. Facial recognition. Can you identify who I am? It's very cool when you actually get to work with, we got to work with some of the government folks in the US, and it was funny because our team had built image recognition, but none of us were important enough that the image recognition knew who we were. And then a politician came into the office, and we took a picture of him, and it said his name, and our guys were like, oh my gosh, this actually works, right? You can do facial recognition, which is obviously a very powerful thing to have. It's great for accessibility. When you have image recognition capabilities, all of a sudden, folks who don't necessarily have sight, who don't have proper hearing, things like that, they can use such powerful AI tools to actually assist them in living their daily lives. And of course, a basic one that we all have been wearing these barcodes and getting scanned, but a lot of people forget, that's also very cool image recognition. We look at a barcode and we tell you what's going on there. And that's super powerful and allows us all connect just with our QR codes on our tags. So let me walk through a quick example here. Moment of truth. Will this play? Let's see. There, in theory, is a video right now, and it might even want to play. Let's see. How's our internet doing? When in doubt, ask the internet how it's doing. It's thinking about it. It's thinking very hard. Hard thinking. Continuing to think. Still not seeing anything. All right. What I'm going to do real quick, I'm going to try this out, and if this doesn't give me this, I might ask my good friends over on the video table to go to, what do we got? Slide 14, if you wouldn't mind playing that video. Let's see if we can get this. If we can, that'll be pretty impressive. Technology will be working. Meantime, I get a drink of water. Yep, slide 14. Let's see if we can swap it over. All right, he did it. So here's what's going on here on slide 14. We added a button. I think we're a couple seconds in. So we added a button to the screen. We added an image block. We labeled it. That's all cool. But now let's get to the block logic and what's actually going on here. So what we say is when we take a photo, when the button for taking a photo is clicked, let's set the image. We had just created an image. Let's set the image to be a photo from the camera. Okay? So that's very cool because what you can do is now that much code or no code, that many blocks allow you to actually take a photo. Think about how hard it is to take a photo, doing asynchronous calls, checking the photo, whatever. We've done that all. Now what happens? We add a label here. So we got an image, we got a button, we got a label. And what do we want to do with the label? The label, we want to say, hey, give me the result of doing image recognition. So we say, okay, the image recognition, the image description is going to be displayed here. And then what happens? Well, now we've taken the photo. We need to add the functionality of setting the label image description to be the description of an image that we get back from doing image recognition on the photo we just took. So that number of blocks together is it. Now you see that demo there? We took a picture of a cup. I said take photo, and just like that, let me see if I can actually, can we play that one more time? Because I don't know if we caught the end of that. That was like the whole cool part. What happened? Yeah, I was like, let's do that one more time to show you how cool this really was. Swear, super cool. All right. So now that we've got all the technology issues taken care of, we've got a button, we've got an image. We say take photo, because take photo is an important thing to do. What do? We take the photo. Then when we take the photo, we go to the blocks. And this is Thunkable, by the way, right? So that was the designer you saw where you can design things. And then this is where the logic actually comes in. This is the blocks, the no-code coding. So you say, hey, when I click this button, what do I want to do? I want to take a picture. When I take the picture, what am I going to do with the picture? Well, let's stick the picture into the image so I can see the beautiful photo that I took. Cool. Now we've done that. What happens from there? We go back in and we say we need a label. What are we going to want in the label? The label is going to have the content from the photo we just took. So let's go in the label. Let's label it properly because we are very good at writing variables correctly, labeling our labels. We are excellent at doing that. Everybody here, I'm sure, is phenomenal at naming their variables and all of their components. Great. Now that that's done, we're going to go into the blocks. We're going to say, hey, when I click this button, set the image to the photo from the camera. Then I'm going to say, set the label to the description of the image that I just took. And now with Thunkable, you can always live test on your phone and on the web. This is my phone. I said take a photo. I had a cup in front of me, took a photo of the cup, said this looks good, and in the image it says a close-up of a coffee cup. And just like that, you built a full image recognition app in about, I don't know how long that video was, 30 seconds. And what's so cool about that is you can publish that directly to the app stores. From there, the app is ready. It's compiled. You hit publish to iOS, publish to Android, publish to web, and it's done, which is super, super cool. If you don't mind, we'll get to the next slide there. No, we'll go to the next slide. Now I think they've seen this too many times. Ready to move on. All right. Oh, too much moving on. All right, entry tickets. So what do we got here? Entry tickets is a real-world example of using image recognition. Started with just a QR and barcode scanner and turned into so much more. So entry tickets is an amazing app. It was a local app in Europe where someone said, hey, we need to do ticketing and guest management better. There's a bunch of big apps out there, obviously with Eventbrite and Ticketmaster and all these guys, but they wanted it for unique boutique venues and events. So for people who had custom experiences, it wasn't just the same, hey, come in, do my thing. They wanted to create these really cool experiences, but obviously they wanted still to have the basic barcode scanning for seating and ticket assignments. So what do? They used image recognition to verify the information with third-party database CRMs, right? So you had to start with, it was just, hey, I scan a QR code, but it's not just your seats B305 because these are unique venues, right? These are standing places. It's, oh, go to the place with the flower pot and you get to hang in that area that's cordoned off by the red velvet rope, right? So they needed this unique app that was a unique experience for their customers. And by using, at the beginning, barcode scanning, they were able to do that. But then they could do more fun things. You know, when you sometimes go to your bank, they show you an image. They say, well, we can display an image to know that, so you know that it's you, and we know that this is a verified ticket, right? Because otherwise, how do you think about verified tickets? If I try and scalp a ticket, I get a rip-off ticket. That's no good. So they could use image recognition to actually identify images and say, hey, I know this is a custom image, and that's really cool. And there are a lot of experiences and things like that that they built in and that they're building in now for their customers because of the fact that they had access to this easy image recognition capability. Started with barcode scanning and is evolving into so much more. And we talk to the founder of Entry Tickets, and they're constantly telling us the new different things, the new different AI capabilities they're trying out because they have the power of AI. The next thing I want to talk about is multi-language speech-to-text and text-to-speech, right? This is another incredibly powerful, incredibly cool thing to have. Text-to-speech and speech-to-text. Again, an amazing AI thing that has existed for a while. So why have speech-to-text? One is, of course, as we talked about, accessibility. Now, text can be taken. It can be heard by folks. Some people who necessarily can't read now are able to get audio. Similarly, if you can't see, can't write, now you can speak. It can turn into a great speech-to-text experience. Also, just to be hands-free. You got your hands in things, you can't be writing as well. We have so many folks as a mobile app development tool. We have so many folks who use us who are in mobile workforces. Jobs where they're on the go. They're driving. They are in real estate, in construction. Places that their hands are busy. And they don't have access to their hands while they need to take notes. So what do? They use speech to text and they're able to speak into their devices and get notes taken. It's of course great for user engagement. Users love the speech to text and the text to speech. It's so fun to be able to talk to devices. I basically stopped texting anymore. I just speak to my phone all the time because it's easier that way. It's more fun. and it's gotten really good where it usually doesn't mess up things that I say. And then, of course, for support and customer service, it's very great to have the power of speech to text and text to speech, and, of course, the power of translations layered on top of that. So now, as you might be able to tell, I don't have the most French accent, and when I've come here, I've sometimes struggled with folks who either don't understand me or only speak French, and I'm trying to communicate with them. But the joys of being able to type into my phone what I want, have it translated in French, and then speak out live, amazing. So let's actually take a look now at a translation app. So, as you can see, similar start, we've got some labels, things like that. So what are we doing? We add a button here, and we say, okay, this button is going to say translate. When I click the button, I want to translate, right? Back in the Thunkable editor. What is the language that we're going to go with? Here, I use it a lot more. I live in California. There's a lot of Spanish speakers there, so I use this a lot for Spanish to English, English to Spanish. So I can pop into Thunkable and say, hey, I'm going to make a translation button. I'm going to change my color to green. Green's my favorite color, so I change the color. I'll add a label here because obviously we need a place to enter my text, and then we need a place to show what my text is that comes out of here. Okay, cool. So I think we've got this all ready to go. Now what do I want to do? When I click the button that says translate, what am I going to do? I'm going to take the text that I typed in English in the box, and I'm going to take that text and I'm going to say, hey, go translate that. What am I translating it from? From English to Spanish. Those are defaults that we have built in right there, but we can change that to any couple languages. So actually, we're going to want to start, if we can get there, with Spanish, because this is a Spanish to English app. So we start with Spanish, and then we say, do it to English, right? And now, just like that, we built a full translation app. So let's try it out. This is, again, in our web preview, Me amo Thunkable, which translates to, if you saw it, I love Thunkable. Surprise, surprise. We love Thunkable. It's the best. Let's, a couple other words. Trend, train, simple things like that. You now have built a full translation app for any language that you want. People used to pay good money for this. I know I was very excited about that. Then you get to all these complicated apps. Now you can build your own custom translation app in the matter of, again, how long was this video? 1 minute? Not only that, but if you really enjoyed that, you can stick it as an experience within your app. So now all of a sudden your app users are able to have translations built right into their app. Fantastic. All right, let's see a real use case of that. In Bologna, there was the tourism and cultural department in Bologna was saying, hey, you know what would be great if we could give you a tour of the city. If we could make it easy for anyone to come to this city and give you a tour in any language that you want. The problem is there wasn't a lot of resources. There wasn't a whole team to do this. And what language do they go in? English, good start. But there are a lot of tourists from all over the world who were coming there, and they didn't have the capability to get, 140 translations or so, even though, again, many more languages. But they couldn't even, really do that. So what did they do? They said, well, we want to make a tour guide in your pocket. We want to make it so that you can just pull out your phone, have your headphones, walk around the city, and you have a tour guide. And they wanted not just speech to text, which was, the cool thing I'm talking about, but if a tour guide, they needed mapping. They needed location sensors. They needed geolocation to create paths. And then they wanted to draw the paths. So you had tailored tour paths. So okay, I'm walking down here now. I'm seeing a visual over here. I walk here now. I see something over here. And of course, they wanted it to be multilingual so that it could support any user in any language that at least the internet knew how to translate. So what did they do? They built an app with Thunkable. And they built a multilingual support app where anyone could walk into Bologna, download this app, generate custom paths in custom languages for them. And now it's an incredibly successful and used tour app for multilingual support by the Tourism Center in Bologna. And it's something that we're so excited that we were able to empower and support. This is the cool part about no-code, and this is the cool part about AI, right? Speech to text, very cool. But speech to text with multilingual support, with mapping, with geolocation, with path drawing, with understanding the culture. Now that's a cool app. That's a powerful app. And that's an app you can build with no code and AI. And now let's get to some of the fun, cool new stuff that's going on. Gen AI. Everyone's talking about generative AI. What is going on with generative AI? How can we generate cool things with AI? All the stuff I've showed you now, up to now, has been really cool stuff, but it's been around for a little while. So let's talk a little bit about what you can do with Gen AI. First of all, why Gen AI? Dynamic user journeys. Tailored experiences with personalization, as I talked about, where we can generate on the fly the next steps in the app based on the user that we have, based on their actions. Content creating and sharing, that's a cool one. One of the stories that I like to tell is we worked with an author who makes children's books. And she came to us and said, hey, I want to make a children's book, but I want it to not just be kind of one of these books that it's a choose your own adventure book, but I want there to be endless possibilities. And so what she did is she took Thunkable and used generative AI, and again, I'll walk you through how you do this in a moment, and was able to build a journey for the kids where, depending on what their input was, that would lead to the next chapter in the book. So every time they open their app, they'd say, okay, one day I went to the, and you can type in any word you want, the park, the school, the office, the moon. And then based on that, the next screen pops up. And when I landed on the moon, I found there was and you type in whatever you want, alien puppy. When I talked to this alien puppy, right? And you can make an entire generative book for kids with content that you didn't even create, but you gave them the power to create, right? How exciting and powerful is that? And there's some other things that maybe are more or less sexy, but they're really cool. Automated support, right? This is a thing that we've seen a lot of and a lot of excitement about. And that's something that we're really excited about, where if you remember about 4 or 5 years ago, it was the year of the chatbot. And everyone was excited about chatbots, but you were just writing questions and answers. Now with Gen AI, you can give your documentation to Gen AIs and say, hey, make a chatbot that can do real support and understand my user. And that's something that we're so excited about, and that's something that's very exciting with upcoming things that we're doing in Thunkable and in general with Gen AI. And then, of course, knowledge enhancement. If I can have an assistant with me in my pocket that knows everything that exists on the internet, it can probably help give me some assistance with any question that I have. So that's some of why Gen AI. And now let's actually see some really exciting things. So this right here is an example of how we use OpenAI to actually do something to the extent of, like I was talking about, this book generation with basically with text completion. So what you can see here is there's a lot going on, so I'll try and just give you the quick rundown. Basically, you can type in your prompt to right here, that's Billy Beaver, that's our mascot, and Billy Beaver will actually respond to you with an answer. Similarly, you can pop in here and say, hey, I want Billy Beaver to be drawing this new thing. So we plug into Lottie animation, so you can make really nice animations. And then you can say, hey, can we auto-generate, this picture? Can we set it to something really, really cool and exciting using our image generation? So let's see what Billy Beaver has to do here, right? We say, okay, we're going to turn off the animation after we generate the image, and we're going to upload it to something that Billy Beaver painted. So Billy Beaver, we ask you, what should Billy paint today? We're going to ask you, the user, to tell us what we're painting. And we tell Billy, hey, paint a portrait painting of a beaver fixing a motorcycle. And so here we go. We're painting, we're painting, we're painting, and boom, a little rough. Billy Beaver has made a beaver painting a motorcycle. But now let's say, hey, let's paint a picture of a beaver fixing a mobile phone. And there is a beaver with a mobile phone. Now, these examples don't actually exist in the real world. There is no real beaver that I know of that has been fixing motorcycles, even though beavers are amazing engineers. Every beaver knows how to build a dam. It's incredible. But even then, I've never seen a beaver fix a motorcycle or a beaver look at a mobile device and fix that either. Yet, with generative AI, you can have that happen now. And that's so exciting and powerful. This is a real example that I made 2 days ago, screen captured and put here. FYI, the reason that the beaver is our mascot is because beavers are nature's engineers, as I said. Every beaver can build a dam, and with Thunkable, anybody can build an app. So let me give you a real-world example. Wonderberry. Wonderberry was the story example I was talking about. So using OpenAI's GPT 3.5, Wonderberry's been around for a little bit, and DALL-E, users can create fresh stories for their children every night. So you have text generation, and you have the images to go along with it. Stories with Wonderberry, you can actually choose your style. So not only can you say, hey, write me a story, but you can say, write in the style of Dr. Seuss. And now you'll have a Dr. Seuss style story being generated. Write it in the story in the way a Disney story would be written. And then the ones you really like, you can say, hey, save the story for later, so I can actually share it with my friends, and I can show, my kids can go to their kids, to their friends who are kids and say, hey, look at this cool story I wrote. And that's all using the power of generative AI. Wonderberry is an incredible app. I encourage you all to check it out. And it's one of, the really cool, creative examples I saw of using generative AI. The fun part is also, so many people have asked, hey, does Gen AI make you less human? Is it just making, the robots are doing everything now? And for me, generative AI makes us more human, because what happens now is rather than for, kind of being mechanical and reading the same book every night. When I was growing up, my parents read me the same 3 books every night. Instead, every night now, you can use the ingenuity and creativity of a human. Your 5-year-old can now be an author and have the full power to say, I created this storybook with such a fun story and incredible images. That makes us more human, because we let the machines do the work that can be done by machines, because the machines have already seen it, it's already been done. And the creative things, the things that have never been done before or thought of before, we can think of, and we can use generative AI to help us, which is something I'm just so incredibly excited about. So now, related to Gen AI, what are we working on? What's going on at Thunkable? And what are the exciting Gen AI capabilities that we have? Well, I'll show you 2 quick videos of things we're doing. One, which we launched yesterday and announced in my keynote, was about text generation and image generation. So now, see, I wrote rose bouquet here, and I'm like, that doesn't sound that nice. I'm going to make it sound cooler. So I asked for a couple suggestions, and it gives me a lush medley of blooming roses. That sounds cool. Click it, and now it's suggested, and that you can do right there. Now I want to generate an image, and I say, okay, well, if I go to Google, I can download it. If I can Google it, I can find an image, download it, upload it, and then I need to worry about licensing and all that stuff. Instead, I can just say, hey, search for a pink rose bouquet. We'll generate a pink rose bouquet for you. You can say, choose it, and now it's in your app. And so just like that, you have image recognition and text generation built into the Thunkable platform. And for any of our business users here, that's available now. And it's so exciting and so powerful. And even since our launch of it yesterday, I looked at what people were doing, and already there were so many very goofy and very creative examples that I'm excited about. And then, of course, the holy grail of all of this. Can I come in, and can you just generate my app for me? This is a teaser, something not available yet, but something we have working. So for this app that we just were working on, we want to make a login screen. So I typed in pink and gray login screen based on my color scheme over there. And as you see, we just generated a login screen. Username, password, login, forgot password. The cool part is, and why you still can use no code, the settings weren't exactly right. So we pop in here, and I can say, I'm going to change the width a little bit, the height a little bit. I'm going to change it up just to make it the way I want. And with that, you can actually auto-generate designs for your app. No longer are you dragging and dropping every block to get every design piece to get your app looking good. You can now use generative AI to actually generate designs for your app. And that is so cool. Something that we're actively working on. That's a demo of something we have actually working, and we're excited to hopefully release it later in the year. So with that, I'll leave you with a couple of things. One, I think it's really important to see that the future is in your hands. The problems that are being solved by the people in this room. I was telling a story yesterday that I'll retell. So sorry if you heard this. So I was talking about, so when I went to MIT in the US for undergrad and graduate school. One of my advisors was Tim Berners-Lee. You may have heard of him. He invented the World Wide Web, right? So when you talk to Tim about inventing the World Wide Web, he's like, honestly, guys, he was working at CERN as a physicist, and he said, I just made this thing because I thought it'd be cool for people to exchange research papers. Then in 2000, we have a big dot-com bust, 2001, and New York Times writes a big article. The web is over. People thought this was a cool idea. They tried it out. Didn't work. No one's into it anymore. You can go read this article. It's an amazing article. And basically, while it was just limited to the hands of researchers, we didn't think there was much you were going to do with the web. People tried it out. It didn't really work. And then web development became accessible to everybody with some of the original, what I might even consider no-code tools. And all of a sudden, you started seeing more and more things coming about. And now you see, now if I say, oh, the web is over, no one's going to use the web anymore, you'll laugh me off stage. You're like, oh, and we're stop breathing air too. Like, it doesn't even make any sense now. But until we gave the power of the web and web development to more than just a few PhD researchers, we never could imagine what we could do with it. And now with no code, we're taking that idea to the next level, right? Now, I joke about this always, right? In San Francisco, we have 10 different food delivery apps because that's the problem engineers in San Francisco are solving for. Yet you go to many countries where there are basic problems that are just being unaddressed because the talent isn't there. But now with no code, the talent is there. The talent is everywhere. Everyone here can, and most of you have now build apps. And with AI, that only gets supercharged even more, and it's even more exciting. So with that, I invite you all on this journey with me to figure out how we can improve the world and how we can use no code and AI to build a better, more inclusive, more robust, and incredible future. With that, thank you so much, and I would love to take questions. All right, so we have a microphone that's going to be handed out right now. And so we have questions in the back there. We see your hands, and we'll go in order and pass it out.
Thank you very much. Great presentation. It's just a very simple question. How far away are we from a product like Thunkable being able to do the following? Going like just typing in, I did an app that translates from Spanish to English or from these 3 languages in these 3 places. Like give all the description, enter, and just have the whole application developed by the product. Do you think that's far away in the future?
That's a great question. So just the basic question, right? How far are we away from Thunkable or anything like us, you being able to type into the interface, hey, this is the app I want, and we just spit out the app. What I would say is we're probably, I'd say, about 6 months away from a 70% version of that. It's not far. And this is something that we are actively investing in. We have a team working on this, and we're getting there. But the thing I think will change over time is how good we can be at that. I think over time we will get a lot better. This is also why I think it's really important to have no code and AI together, because what you're actually going to have is the fact that you're going to get AI to get you 70% of the way there, and then you're going to use no code to tweak it and make it perfect. And that's one of the really exciting things about AI meeting no code. So I think we're about 6 months away from a decent version of that, and it'll be probably 2, 3, 4 years as it evolves and gets better and better to the point where you're like, okay, this is now 97% of the way there. But I think we're shockingly closer than we imagined to a world where you can start by doing something like that and get a lot of the time savings that you want. The other cool thing about that is that takes away, one of the most daunting things about using any product that's here is you walk in and you're like, oh my gosh, I have this idea and this blank screen, where do I even start? And what's great about using various templates, using Gen AI, things like that, is now all of a sudden you have a place to start. And that's something that I'm so excited about. But I think we're maybe 6 months away from getting a V1 of that, which is exciting. Question over here.
Thank you. How complex do you think people can build on your platform? Because the screen that you showed with all the blocks,
yep.
becomes already fairly complicated. It seems like you have 20 rows, multiple blocks per line. How quickly does it break, or how quickly does people, get confused and don't manage to build the experience?
Yeah, great question. So I think we have seen. I'll give you just a couple ideas. So for you, we have apps that have millions plus MAUs, and they're working very well. So it's not a question of scalability. Thunkable is, in terms of no-code mobile app platforms, I think we've scaled more than any other that I know in terms of the size and volumes of apps that can be used on the platform. In terms of complexity of apps, I think we have a number of really interesting and complicated apps that can be built, often because we take a lot of complicated concepts and make them fairly simple. Taking a picture, doing image recognition, takes a lot of code. This is a thing I built when I was an Android engineer at a previous company. It took 3 blocks to do. So I'd say you can get fairly complex fairly fast, and we do have a good management setup where you can basically, say, hey, I'm going to bundle this up, I'm going to collapse this, I'm going to put it over here. So we do have a visual setup. I will say there are a couple things you might run into. There's certain SDKs, like native SDKs, that we just don't really spend a lot of time on. If you look at, the health kit on iOS, we don't do much with that. So there's certain things that we just say, hey, this isn't necessarily where we're investing a lot of time and resources, and you shouldn't worry about it there. And the other thing is, to your question on blocks, if you make 3,000 blocks on a screen or whatever, it might be hard to manage. But on the other hand, if you use our kind of organization tools, you end up doing pretty well. And we've seen blocks with, I don't know, you could probably tell me 5,000, 10,000 blocks in projects, and they've been able to manage them, and they've been able to structure it really well. And so I think there isn't a limit per se. It's a limit often on how well organized and thoughtful and creative you are. And definitely, if you have 10,000 blocks, you have to be really clever about the way you're doing it. But we've seen apps that do that and have scaled incredibly well. So I wouldn't say it's limited there. And the last piece is, if you want some folks to just say, hey, this part I just want to write in JavaScript and I want to import the JavaScript into the platform, you can do that too, to say, hey, some of it I'm just going to outsource to code that I want to write separately if you so desire. Great.
Thank you.
For the question. Any other questions here?
And if nobody has a question, how do you forecast in advance where you might be missing some functionality on your platform? You have a plan, you have an idea. How do you know that you're going to be able to achieve 100% of it, and you shouldn't go on another platform instead?
So the question is, how do we forecast what's coming up?
As a user, how do you discover that you will be? Do you get the confidence that you will be able to do everything with your platform, and you shouldn't be using something else instead?
Great question. I think one thing that I often say here and in many places is, there are so many wonderful no-code platforms out there. We do a bunch of things really well. We are the best at doing a lot of things that we do. And there's some things that we don't do much of. And so what we try and do, and what we work really hard to do, is be very explicit in our documentation. This is what we do. This is what we don't do. When you write into us, if you come to our booth today, you will ask our team, hey, do you guys do this? And they are very honest about, we are excellent at that. No, we are not good at that, and that's not a thing that we do. And so we try and be pretty clear about what we have. The joys of our components is you can go right in and see, hey, they have this component, they have this component, they have this block, and either it's there or it's not there. There are a couple things, though. We do have open API capabilities where you can basically plug into any API that you want, any CRUD request you want to make. For those of you who are familiar with what I'm talking about, you can do that directly from the platform. That's one. And then another really good thing is, because we have such a large community of users, people post on our community forum. We have a really thriving community. People post about what they want. And depending on what people are asking for, we're also really good at saying, hey, this makes sense. This is a capability we can build. We will build it. And we try and be upfront and tell you, hey, this is when we're going to build it and we're going to launch it. So you know, this is what Thunkable can do today. You guys can't do this, but you'll be able to do that in 3 months. Awesome. I'm excited. I'll start building and knowing that it'll come there. And we try and be really clear about where we're going, where we're not, what we're investing in, what we're not. And so hopefully when you come to Thunkable, you have a lot of clarity there. Because like I said, we're great at a lot of things. We are one of the largest and most well-known no-code mobile app-specific builders. We do a lot of things well. There are things that we don't, and we try and be as clear in our docs. And of course, if you're confused, you reach out. And anybody here, go talk to the folks at our booth, and they are some of the best Thunkable users and builders in the world. 2 of the folks there, Jane and Donal, who are at our booth, they both were 2 of like the first 20 Thunkable users ever, and they joined our team. So they probably know Thunkable even better than I do. And so if there's any questions you guys have right now, go talk to them and they'll let you know. Thanks so much. All right. So one of the, if I'm still plugged in, one last 30 seconds. Did anybody come to my talk yesterday? Yeah, okay, I see like 2 hands. So one of the people in the back who came to my talk yesterday came up. So you may have heard I also used to be a professional rapper, and yesterday at the talk somebody asked me to rap, and I did. And I was like, this is not a good idea. So then I did. So then today, right before I got on stage, someone's like, hey man, are you gonna rap again? I was like, no, that was yesterday's talk. But now it's been asked. So, and people are like, oh, does he really freestyle and make it up? The answer is yes. So we got 30 seconds. Give me a couple topics you want, and I will, and I'll put it together for you to wrap up this whole presentation. What do we got? 3 words. Give me a word. Productivity. No code. Beaver. Paris. Okay, that's good. All right. All right. Yo, everybody, we here in Paris, France right now. You know this ain't the last dance coming out, hanging out with no code in Station F. It's the humble abode. As we coming out, you never be a higher achiever than when you hanging out with my boy, Billy Beaver, coming in, looking for productivity tools, making sure you're using Thunkable so you don't look like a fool. Every time you coming out, it's an amazing thing. When you get up here, we just rap and sing, and we come together. We bring it all together. We make it last forever. When you look at no code and AI, you can just come by and say hi, because we can make some apps that are so fly. Thank you all for coming out here today to the No Code team. We love you all right this way. Thank you so much, and have a beautiful, beautiful time.